Now, you were also there for Bill Watts when Sting and Ultimate Warrior back
Yeah,
then.
oh yes,
the
that's
Blade Runners.
UWF, yeah.
Right. What are your memories of those guys starting out?
Green.
Right.
Yeah, Green, my goodness.
Did you see the potential in Sting?
Yeah, yes, both of them, yeah. Really, out of the two, I think Sting was more advanced than Jimmy Hellway was.
Right.
To me, he was. So they went in opposite directions, you know. One became Ultimate Warrior, and then
You went down
Sting,
all class.
yeah, Sting stayed, yeah.
As far as the Freebirds went and stuff like that, what are your memories of working with the Freebirds in that territory?
The Freebirds and my factions, that was the territory, and I always, how I define that is, we were dragons, and the Von Erich boys, they were dragon slayers. But let me say this now, and Michael will tell you this, we used to throw heels against heels, and when they were with me, you wouldn't believe how they got behind the Freebirds.
Right.
And maybe that, now, you know, we made a big baby faces, but later on that evening, if they went back with the Von Erichs, they were heels again. So we were the ultimate heels, but you know, that Freebirds and Von Erichs, because those kids made those kids work.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what made that work.
Definitely.
Sure.
Also, for Bill Watts, what are your memories of guys like Steve Williams and DiBiase?
Steve Williams hanging around. I think he was a 4-time national champion at OU. And we broke Steve in, and he had one of the best attitudes. And God love him. I'll tell you what, he's going through a hard time now. But Steve Williams was just a great, you know, and not only was he a great athlete, but he had a tremendous attitude. You know, he would always say, could I did this better? Could I do this better? And of course, Teddy, his dad helped me a lot. Iron Mike DiBiase when I got in.
Right.
So when Teddy came, I mentioned before, student of the business. He, and like I'll say in modern times, Teddy, Steve Williams, Steve Austin, Mark Cowell, those guys are students of the business. They watch, they build themselves.
What about Buzz Sawyer?
Buzz Sawyer actually was good talent. He was good talent. But you know, he was almost like he was schizo.
Just had his demons.
And it was hard. It was hard for him to go into territory because if you have to have some kind of rules in territory. Like Bill had the fine and everything, and Buzz just didn't fit in that mold. He didn't fit into it.
What about Rick Steiner?
Rick Steiner, they were just starting in that UWF too.
Right.
Yeah, Rick Steiner, he had a little potential too. He did all right.
What made you actually leave that territory? Was it just time to move on and come back down?
Yeah, it was time to move on, and actually I came back to, you know, after the Crockett, they bought out,
right.
And I was with Crockett for a while. Then I came back to Texas, and that's when guys like Steve Austin was coming up, Mark Calloway. See, I made him the Punisher, and Kerry was with us, and we needed somebody for Kerry to work for, and Lawler was the champion coming in there. So I saw the potential in Mark.
No, actually, right before you went back and worked for the Von Erichs, for Bill Watts, when Crockett bought them out, do you think Crockett dropped the ball as far as doing interpromotional matches with UWF against the Crockett guys, or do you think Crockett didn't want to do that because he didn't want those guys to go?
Well, actually, I'll tell you, and this is the shoot. Our television had better ratings than theirs. He wanted our television.
Right.
Okay, when all this came about and the merge came, they started out by myself, Eddie Gilbert, and they wanted us to run the Mid-South part and keep it separate than the Carolinas, but they didn't work that way. You know, when this came, a guy named Scott Muntz, myself, Eddie Gilbert, and that was it. They flew us to Charlotte. And I remember them telling us that they were going to put New York out of business in a year. And you know, the thing is, sometimes that happens, you'll say, if it's ever happened in your life, probably, all of a sudden in my mind, I said, I'm thinking, what's going to happen a year from now? You know, a year from that day, they sold out.
Right.
So there was a little arrogance there. And yes, they did drop the ball. Because if they would have kept it separately, they would have had a war. They would have had a World Series of professional wrestling. But you see, what happened was there was a little bit of jealousy.
Right.
They dropped the ball, and they came in our television. And that's what he wanted. We had tremendous ratings. Mid-South had good ratings.
Do you think it was also the deal where some guys didn't want to do jobs? The Crockett guys big, not wanting to do jobs to the UWF guys.
Possibly, but that's something that how can you be in this business and feel that way?
Right.
The great Lou Thesz told me, he said, if you can't lose, you're in the wrong business. That's coming from him. And it's anybody that would think this way, that's asinine way to think, because that's what this business is.
Someone's got to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
You talked briefly about Eddie Gilbert, who in my opinion has one.
Eddie Gilbert, going back to when I did the thing with Leroy, and I had a little small territory, and his daughter had married Brian Blair at that time, and I was, I had some good little talent. I brought Eddie Gilbert in with Ricky Morton, and Ricky he got the idea from what I did with he and Eddie, and both of them hadn't been out of Tennessee that much. So I made them a team. We didn't call them Rock and Roll Express.
Right.
And I had Big Mike George, Ed Wiskowski, De Beers later on.
Right.
And I remember telling him, I'd always tell Leroy, he was blind, and I'd always tell him what I was going to do, and I'd say, I shot this angle with. He said, oh my God. He said, they're so much bigger. I said, Leroy, they'll do it logically. And look at Ricky and Robert. Look what they did.
Yep.
But, Ricky got that from what we did. And they'll tell you that.
Now, you pretty much left the Watts territory and went to work down here for Fritz von Erich.
Yes.
How different did the territory change?
Let me tell you how that transpired there. I had so much heat over there at Mid-South. And earlier I mentioned how the TVs overlapped. And Bill had come to me, and Ken Mantell, made a lot of money with down around Louisiana. He was beginning to handle the things for Fritz down here, so we got the idea. And I came in with a big splash here in Dallas too. So, there'd be on occasions you would run Monday in New Orleans and Monday in Fort Worth. Well, no matter where I was, I always got a double payoff because I did the interviews for all that. So it became big. It was a big deal. And later on, I could come in and actually worked in Mid-South, and I stayed in world class for a long time.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.